everyone. Welcome to another episode of It's Messy, but It's So Good. And today my guest is Miranda Writes. And Miranda is a hip hop and pop artist from New York. And Miranda's known for her high energy stage shows and versatile music. Miranda blends elements from hip hop, dance, and pop. And she submerged herself in all the cultural elements of hip-hop, earning her respect from the music industry, tastemakers, and insiders. Another whole aspect of Miranda is on the snow. Miranda is not only the first female hip-hop artist to cross over into the snowboard market, she's also the first biracial female to do so. She's been featured in both Whitelines, which is the Bible for snowboarders, and Forbes Magazine for all her efforts in doing so, and has been an advocate for promoting diversity within the extreme sports industry. Enjoy the show. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of It's Messy, but It's So Good. And today, my beautiful guest, I'm so excited to speak to her, is Miranda Writes. And welcome, Miranda.
Hi, Fran. Thank you so much for having me today.
You're so welcome. I know Miranda through our community and through close friends. And let me tell you, Miranda's out there in the world doing her thing.
Thank you.
And I just want to introduce just a little bit about Miranda. She is a hip hop and pop artist, and she hails from New York. And she's known for her high energy stage shows, very versatile music, and she blends hip hop, dance, and pop. And right now she is MC for domestic and international tour for the Harlem Trotters. So many things, which I'm anxious to hear about. And also very unique, your snowboarding. You are the only female hip hop artist to cross over into snowboard market, and you're the first biracial female doing it. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
So I'd love to know how you got started in your passion. You can talk like the points of transition that came from the beginning when you first started to, get involved with music and creativity.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for starters, I've always loved music. I've always listened to music and I liked all kinds of music. And I grew up listening to a lot of hip hop because my parents love hip hop and my dad is from the Bronx. So he is an old school hip hop guy. And I feel like that was a big thing and part of my like musical influences is just growing up with it. And then in high school, I like started writing poetry, and that's kind of what helped me get started in, rap. Because I always say poetry and rap, right? It's both freedom of expression and it's, written a little bit differently, but the premise is still the same. So I was writing poetry at that time as I was getting ready to graduate high school. And then for whatever reason, I guess that was just like that divine moment. I was like, okay, so how do I take what I'm writing and like make music out of it? So I did. I took like what I wrote and I put it over a beat and I recorded it. And like it probably was like now looking back, if I heard it, be like, oh my God. But that was the start of it. And I was just like, oh my God, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to do with my life. It was just like this moment of clarity of being like, music, this is it. Um, so from that point, I started recording freestyles to like old school hip hop beats and I threw them up on YouTube. And then people in school were like, you rap? And I was like, yep. And it started gaining like traction on YouTube. It was just something that it was literally just like me writing things in my room, posting them on the internet. And then from that point, like I just really like submerge myself in all things hip hop culture because being from New York, right? It's like the streets is the culture. So it's everywhere. But I started going to a lot of park jams and really just embracing all of the elements. And that's one thing, like when you talking about like hip hop, like there is culture. There's just like the rapping part of it is such a small part of it, right? But it's like when you're in those like park jam environments, you see people emceeing, you see people DJing, you see people doing live graffiti, you see people breaking, like those are the elements of hip hop. So I was just so inspired by that. And I just had a lot of like hip hop legends that were at these jams that they gave me the microphone and they gave me the opportunity to get on the mic. And from there, like it just kept going. And then I started getting my own shows. And needless to say, I've never looked back since. I think everything was just like a series of events and timing. But I've always just loved music, and that's why I still haven't stopped, you know?
And presently, tell me a little bit about what you're doing. You've been on tour with the Harlem Globetrotters, right?
Yeah, so this is my third world tour with the Harlem Globetrotters. I've toured with them domestically and internationally. My role as an MC here is very much different than what I do as a music artist. But I always say, the blessing from the Globetrotters is the opportunity to perform in front of thousands of people per day in arenas around the world. So I think, the Globetrotters tours is what gave me that opportunity of really just being on the microphone every single day in front of thousands
Mm.
of people and like that comfortability and confidence of doing that, And because when I first started, I was very shy. Like there was a point years ago where like literally my mom would have to like push me to get on the stage, and she'd be like, you gotta get out there, you gotta get out there. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can do it. And I always did it, but it took like that push. But it was years of practicing and just kind of getting comfortable in front of the camera and on stage and just learning how to do it. Where it's like now, like I just walk out and I just start talking. I don't even think about it, you know?
Mm.
But it is that period of like, getting comfortable with that. So it's nice to entertain people every day, make them smile. And I'm definitely thankful for all of the travel and the memories because that always makes for good writing material. So it's been a fun journey for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. Where have you been? What you've been traveling internationally as well and domestically. Where internationally have you been?
Yeah, so for our European tour, we went to France, Germany, Italy, um, Slovakia, Slovenia, Hungary. There's probably so many places, Poland. We went to about 15 countries in 5 months, so I'm definitely missing
Wow.
places.
Wow.
But yeah, it was really an incredible experience and just being able to not only visit these different countries, but really spend time in them. Like we spent a few weeks in France and a couple weeks in Italy and a couple weeks in Germany. So you really get to kind of explore and dive into that culture. And I think that's why once I got done with that tour, it was so easy to get back into writing music because I had seen so much that I was like, okay, now it's time to kind of write about those experiences.
Yeah, that's amazing. And did you notice any real differences between the different countries in terms of the crowd and how they perceive the Globetrotters and you being a female and, being unique in itself?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think every country is different and it's every country definitely has their own vibe. Like the people embody that country. And then overseas, the Globetrotters get really great crowds. They're definitely bigger than our domestic crowd. So when we were in Paris, we had like 15,000 people at one game. So It was definitely big crowds, excited crowds. It gave me the opportunity. I was working with translators at that time, so it gave me the opportunity to learn different phrases in different languages just to be able to connect with people. And those are the little things, right? It's like, okay, how do I always like take this opportunity and then learn something new from it and walk away with something? So it was cool to be able to just kind of connect with people. And I think just as a woman in general, um, I think it's important for people to see a woman on the microphone, right? Like it's like you have all of these male athletes, we have a couple female players, but I think it's a cool dynamic where you see all of these dudes that are like, 6'5", 6'6", and then you have like little me hyping everybody up. But I think that's a really important visual for whoever's watching in the crowd because maybe there's going to be a young lady there that's like, "Ooh, I can do that too." Or then maybe there's a young boy who would never think like a woman would do that job. But now
Exactly.
you see somebody doing that. So it changes everybody's thinking a little bit, which I think is really important.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the snowboarding part of your, you know, love. How did growing up in the Hudson Valley, right? You more or less grew up in the Hudson Valley and you had access to a lot of snowboarding and so forth. So how did you get involved with that and bring it into the marketplace, really?
Yeah, so that was one of the reasons why I moved to the Hudson Valley was to get closer to the ski slope. So my mom, she grew up skiing. My dad, needless to say, he's from New York City. He wasn't, snowboarding or skiing. And she was just like, well, you need to learn how to snowboard. So then he ended up loving it. And then at first, I did not enjoy it at all because I've been snowboarding now for 14 years. So there was a period though where they were like, come on, we're going to the mountain today. I was just like, because you get hurt.
Yeah, in the
You fall a
beginning, it's
lot. Like it's
hard.
one of those sports where it's like you really have to commit to the sport. You have to be willing to go through that period of not being comfortable and before you get good at it. But I ended up obviously sticking with it, and 14 years later, I'm still snowboarding. But I was just so excited about it because I was living in like Union City, opposite side of the river, and things of that nature. And like people weren't snowboarding. Like that's not something that people were doing. So when I got introduced to the mountains, I'm like, oh, this is like a big deal because I had never seen that before, let alone like, oh, I'm gonna go to the top of this peak and ride down it. So that's what start made me start writing about it. Just was like, this is like crazy. And I was trying to find like other female like rappers maybe that snowboarded, like who was into this, and there was nobody at that time who was doing it. So I started making music about it, and then it started getting picked up within the snowboarding community, and then that ended up leading to the opportunity to work with Burton and Red Bull and do all of these different snowboarding festivals and like really become friends with the best professional riders in the world. Like the fact that I've been able to go down a mountain with Zeb Powell or Mark McMorris, like it just same thing. It was just something that I just did to do it, and then I ended up making like history doing it and really getting involved in that community. So, yeah, it's been a crazy ride, literally.
Yeah, but also I think it's, your personality and your vibrancy and your passion and when people meet you, they see that you just love it so much and you're willing to just take it, keep going and keep going. And so that's very infectious. And I think people like to be around people like that,
For
that have
sure.
that kind of passion. So that's great. Um, as far as the messiness,
Hmm.
I'm sure as, life goes, the ups and downs. Um, is there something that you can share, some experience where maybe you met a challenge or an obstacle and how you were able to deal with that, even though it might have been messy and come out the other side?
Yeah, I mean, I think, everything has been messy up to this point, if I'm being honest. Like I've been making music for such a long time that it's just like I've gone through so much. And I think the importance is like learning how to pivot. And sometimes it's like the small things, right? Like you learn. So for like an example, one time I was doing like this winter festival and it was like I was really excited because it was like my first festival. And I'm in the middle of my set and the entire power goes out. And it was like this whole thing. I was just like, okay, so like, what am I supposed to do? But like, I just made it work. And then you know what? I had all these people coming to the show that was like coming to see me. And I had like brought all these different props for like my set. But it ended up just leading to this more like intimate kind of vibe because I'm like, here it is. It went from this like big festival production and now we're all sitting with the lights out, like, hey guys, thanks for coming kind
Yeah.
of thing. But like, don't leave because we're gonna be right back at it. But I think it's just like little things like learning to pivot when there's those moments that you can't control, right? And there's a lot of things like throughout the journey in general that I've learned that I just can't control. I can only can control whatever I can control. And I think just learning from that and just not being scared, to fail. I think in the beginning, I was more scared to fail. Now I view it as more scared to not try. The fear of not doing something is now greater to me than the fear of trying something and not doing it well. Because I think that's like the misconception that everybody has is like there's like this state of perfection. And I think that you can get close to it. I don't know if it ever actually exists, but a lot of that just creates like blocks and limitations in our own minds of what it is we can do. And I think what has allowed me to continue to progress in my career is just always being excited about what's next and just knowing that there may be some, you know, challenges along the way, but that goes back to everything works out exactly the way that it's supposed to, even when you feel like it's not. If that door closes, if there's things, there's been many times where I received a no and I was really upset about it and I didn't know why. It was like, I can't believe they didn't choose me for this or whatever have you. And then a bigger door opened.
Yeah.
So now I've learned, okay, if something is not happening, that means that it's just not either the right time or that no is preparing me for where I'm supposed to end up next. So I think just going through all of these different things, it's allowed me to kind of just trust the process more and just be like, it's gonna work out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's difficult to have no expectations. It's one of the biggest challenges for us spiritually, I think. But, I can see the more you step out, the more you see it. And the more, you can experience it, not just in your mind, but, just everything,
Mhm.
holistically experience it and learn. And, for people who are listening that, might have some type of dream
Mhm.
that they're sitting on because the monkey mind is taking over and is limiting, their possibility of taking some action. Like, what would you say to them?
I would say, again, that fear of not trying something should be greater than the fear of feeling like if you try it, you're going to fail. Because every great person, it doesn't matter if you're a creative or you're a business owner, whatever it is that you want to do, I've never heard somebody say, you know what, I made a decision to do something this great. And there was nothing along the way, right? Like everybody's journey is different, but there's no perfect path because that goes back to the messiness. It has to be messy so we can even appreciate those moments that feel like clean and like peaceful.
Yeah.
Um, so I would say too, and it's like our time here is short, and I've had to do like a lot of spiritual work too, and that goes back to like having the no expectations. And I've been reading this book called Awakening the Buddha Within, and it's
Mm.
really interesting. But it's like when you just kind of take away the whole thing of like just do what you want while you're here, it makes life so much more meaningful. Because it's like, why are we thinking about what's after this? Like, just focus on now?
Yeah. And I think it's also important because there's a lot of shoulds too, that we can put upon ourselves. And I think when you really do have that burning passion. Like I can relate to when I had infertility issues, and I had a burning passion to have children. I would
Hmm.
have done anything, and I did a million things, and I was
Hmm.
very blessed to have two wonderful kids. But from signing up for foster care to having in vitro back in the day in the 1980s, and spending money on things that, but I would have done anything. And when you
Yeah,
have that burning passion, I think that's what really takes you. Um,
sure.
when you're not sure, and it's like you got to differentiate, is it the fear and anxiety
Hmm.
talking to you, or is it like that's not really for you? And it's
Hmm.
okay sometimes to put that down. So I just, wanted to bring that point across because I think people tend to judge themselves a lot when they're not creating something. But I think to go back to the quietness of the present moment and really look within yourself and see, like, what is that passion? Where is it coming from? Is it what you want in this moment?
Exactly.
And then move forward. Dealing with, the limiting beliefs and the blocks and the negative thinking, because, hey, we're human and we're going to have that, right? So,
Absolutely.
yeah. And I think also, like, what I've noticed with you is your tremendous support from your family,
Hmm.
which I think is so important, or from a community, or both.
Yes.
Because to do it all by yourself, first of all, it's not that much fun.
Exactly. No, that's so true. And that's the other thing too, like just that word alone, fun. Like if you're not having fun, then it's like, why are you doing it? And I've had to have a few of those moments like in my career, not even a few, a lot,
Mhm.
truthfully, where there's been times where I feel like I've hit like roadblocks where I was just like, I'm not even having fun doing this because there's so much pressure. There's so much like, pressure to perform, to deliver, to read, to meet certain benchmarks, right? And like certain conversations. And then there was be these periods where I stopped having fun. But then I had to remind myself, okay, so why am I really doing this? And then just kind of go back to that moment of like, you love this. So
Mhm.
don't lose that. And I think my family has been really monumental in that as well, is that it's it goes a long way when people say, "Hey, I think you're amazing. I think you can do this," or "You're doing it." Like that support, having that versus having somebody in your ear that's not saying those things usually lead to very different decisions, right?
Mhm.
And my family has always supported me. They absolutely love, that I've chosen this life and like they're a part of it. And it makes it that much easier because I'm like, okay, this is something that everybody sees, everybody believes in, and we're all doing it together and we're having fun doing it. We may not always have perfect days, but we're still having fun doing it.
Yeah, yeah, it's so important. I have, my son's a musician, and my niece is a hip hop lyricist, and it's like so natural for our family, like the aunts and the uncles and everybody, mom and dad, to just like hold them up with their dreams.
Yeah.
But my son has always said to me, Mom, not all parents are like that.
And a lot of them aren't like so, and that's a whole thing too. And that's why I'm like, I had the coolest parents in the world because there was a lot of people when I said that I wanted to rap and make music. They were like, "What are you talking about?" Because that was something where, like, everybody else, even as parents, they were kind of getting judged because everybody else's kids were like, "Oh, we're going to go to college." And I went to school and I got my business degree, but it was more so that sense of being like, "What do you mean she's going to be a rapper?" Like
Yeah.
she's not gonna go and get a degree in this and then get a job in this. And they're like, no. And then a lot of people thought my parents were crazy for supporting me because it's like, how could that ever work? But meanwhile, I've had the opportunity to make history. I've traveled all over the world. I've put out albums. I've been in magazines. I've done all of it. I've been in movies. I've written for publishing. Like I've done so much and I'm so thankful because that all was became these seeds of planting because I have people in my life who support me.
Yeah.
If it was that thing that was like, oh, I don't think you should do this, maybe I wouldn't have done it, you know?
Yeah. And in the entertainment industry also can be so crazy, and having that grounding, the spirituality that you talked about, and the family and the support is so essential to
Mhm.
grounding oneself that's in the entertainment industry. So yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So thanks for sharing that. I would love to know a little bit about what you're up to right now. I know you're coming off the tour soon, and
Yes.
what are you up to now?
Yeah, so I'm very excited. I'm thankful for the last few months. I've been on the road since December, but it's almost April and I'm ready to go home.
Mm.
And right now I am pushing my single VIP remix with Angie K. Kenton, and she's an incredible Latin artist. So we decided to do something different, and I put a nice little verse on her original single called VIP. Just we did like this English dembo which I love. I love Dembo. So I've been pushing that record. Of course, I'm still pushing Pose as well. And I'm getting ready to go back to New York. I fly home in a few days. I actually have some interviews and appearances lined up this weekend. And I'm just thankful for everything that's about to happen. I have lots of new music I plan on putting out. So I plan on it being a very fun summer.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's beautiful. I ask all my guests this one question, which you kind of covered a bit, but maybe if you can synchronize it. What do you think your greatest gift is that you have received from following your passion?
Hmm. Being in my being in my flow state,
Mm,
knowing where that peace comes from, like that true peace, not what people tell us peace is or what success is, but really being like I'm in my flow state. And I know whenever I'm in my flow state, I get the same adrenaline from when I'm performing or when I'm writing or when I'm rapping or anything that I'm doing that feels creative and free. That's what makes me feel like I'm in my flow state. And I think that's something that a lot of people try and figure out what that is. And then that is, your true sense of like chi and enlightenment, if that makes sense.
mhm.
But I'm thankful that I know what that is because it allows me to keep pursuing what's going to help me continue to feel that way.
Yeah, I love that. It's that flow state is that, you know, it's that feeling when you're aligned energetically,
Yes.
spiritually, mentally, and you just feel that expansion, that you're in the right place at the right time, just expressing who you are uniquely. That's so
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I make it super easy for everyone. Just put in Miranda Writes and you will find me, but it's Writes. If you have Spotify, please follow me on Spotify. I'm on Apple Music, I'm on Tidal, I'm on Pandora, I'm on every single platform. I am getting ready to release more music, so follow me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, every social media platform, you name it, Miranda Writes, and that's where you'll find me.
And that's where you'll find it in the show notes too.
Yes.
I'll put that down into the show notes so people can connect with you. I really want to thank you so much today. I so enjoyed speaking to you. I feel very, I don't know, joyful, because you're expressing, something that you're so, um, happy with. And although there are obstacles and so forth, you keep doing your thing, and we appreciate that. So keep doing it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Fran. I appreciate you. Thank you for your beautiful energy.
Oh, thank you so much, Miranda. Take care. We'll see you
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Miranda, for sharing your passion journey and your amazing career with us. And thanks to my listeners for tuning back in. Some of the things we talked about during the podcast were overcoming fear and embracing the unknown. Miranda shares her transformation from initial shyness into confidence using her role as MC for the Harlem Globetrotters, where she traveled the world. Also, breaking barriers in hip hop and snowboarding. She's the first biracial female artist to blend rap and snowboarding culture. Also, she shared the power of pivoting when things don't go right in your career or a situation and they're messy, how Miranda really takes that challenge and redirects it towards better opportunities. Also, the support of family, passion, and positive influence to ground all artists, and exciting new music. So what's next? Miranda shares her new YouTube video. It's a single VIP mix with Latin artist Angie K, and she's continuing to promote Pose and preparing for summer releases. You can find all of her contacts and information on the show notes, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, website, and the YouTube video. I wanted to just ask if you could please follow our show, share this episode with someone that you think will enjoy it and benefit. And I have a new fantastic free toolkit gift that can be used, especially during these times. You'll subscribe to my newsletter and you'll receive a very, very powerful Calm Your Anxiety Instantly, a free toolkit designed to give you 5 tools to quickly regulate your emotions and your nervous system. Who couldn't use that, huh? All right, well, thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.